welcome to Quick Bytes, the lunchtime live stream with your tech integration specialist, Scott Conway. Welcome and thank you for joining us today. On this episode of Quick Bytes, we're going to be taking a look at a distance learning course for teachers. It's a free course. It is offered by Google through one of their LMS partners that they use for online coursework. And so before we get into this, I just wanted to remind everybody that's watching this live that we do have the chat bar out to the right-hand side. If you have any questions that you want to ask during the session, we'll try to get to all of those before we finish out. Now, today's session is going to be probably pretty quick. There's not much to this. I do want to kind of just show you, talk about it, and it's more of a promotion, although I'm not being paid for this. And again, you don't need to pay for it, but this is a promotion of something that might be a good thing for teachers to take a look at, especially at this point. The year is winding down. It's June. I know we need kind of a break from this, but the reality is we may very well be going back into this in the fall, this remote learning. And that's what I want to kind of give you the opportunity to take advantage of something that's free that will take about 2.5 to 2 3/4, maybe 3 hours at the most, if you were to sit down and start and go right through and finish. Our lives are busy, and the nice feature of this coursework is that you don't need to sit and do it all at once. You can break this up. You can see there's modules that will get into this. You'll see there's modules that you can sit down 20, 30 minutes and chip away at it. And by the time you're done, collectively, it's about 3 hours of your time. And you'll come through with hopefully a little bit better understanding, a more comprehensive understanding of some of the parts and pieces to distance learning. I know that we've been kind of putting this together and piecing it together as we go, but this is something that has been kind of put together by Google, and it's a comprehensive approach to what we're doing and what we may very well be doing in the fall. So let's take a look at this. I want to first highlight where I found this, and that is from the Teach from Home website that Google put out or created pretty quickly back in March, when all of this started to kind of happen and school districts were starting to kind of move to the remote learning. They put together this website and it has expanded over time. Some of the topics of my live stream sessions have come directly from some ideas from this website. There's a ton of stuff on here that you can probably get lost in. Again, if you have time and the desire, this is a great resource. I know that I've put it on the staff portal for my district, but again, it's teachfromhome.google. And you've got it right here. And I ended up scrolling all the way to the bottom. You can see that there's plenty of stuff in here for teachers, for schools, for families, tutorials that you can watch and look at and run through. You can learn a whole lot about some of this stuff. And again, like I said, I use some of these as topics for some of my live stream sessions. But what I want to show you is all the way at the bottom of this under additional support and inspiration. And I found it here where it says find more distance learning resources. And when I click on that, it kind of pulls over to this site, which is on the Google for Education platform or website, edu.google.com, under their COVID-19 support resources. And I just happened to be kind of, perusing through, and I found down here on the lower right, this training, Distance Learning Unit for Education. And it's a course enabling distance learning. There's 7 modules. And when you click on this, you'll be taken to an additional website. And you can see in the URL path up here, it's provided by this Skillshop. So that's who's running their online coursework. But this is definitely for and by Google. And it is by the Google for Education team. You can see it here. As I scroll down, you see this distance learning for educators. It's by Google for Education, about 2.6 hours. It's beginner level. But if you take a look at the overview here, there is a course overview. Let me see if we can, so I wanted to talk about this. You will need to log in. That's part of the tracking capability. We'll get into this. I will log in and show you what these look like. But you can see quickly that there's a course overview. Takes you about 10 minutes to go through that. Introduction to distance learning, they say roughly 30 minutes. Instructional design for distance learning, extend your reach using Google Meet. And I know I have other sessions specifically on Google Meet. But then there's one on including social emotional learning in your design. How do we connect with our students in a way that we're limited by our virtual nature? Thinking beyond the clock, I know this is something I've talked about a lot lately. I just actually had this discussion this morning with some of the folks in my district, and it's, when do we put this down? We normally work, maybe 8 to 3, and we're finding ourselves checking email at 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night and responding back. And, it's just, we're at home. So now the lines have blurred, and what's home, what's office, and what's work, what's not. And so think beyond the clock and getting into some of the longer range projects or project-based learning, and kind of keeping an eye on that. Distance learning without internet access. If you're a district that is limited by internet access at the home, that might be a concern. And what do you do in that situation without just sending packets upon packets home? What can you do? And then communication with your families and the students. How do we do that? How do we provide feedback? Stuff like that. And then there's a little unit review. So I did say that this is a site that you need to sign up for. The good news is if you're a Google for Education user, you're going to log in and you're going to use your Google account. So I'm just going to click on the course view and then sign in with Google. Now, I already kind of went through the quick sign up process to choose to sign in or log in with Google. So this is going to go a little quicker for me. It's not that much longer for you to initially create your account with this exceedlms.com. That's the platform that's kind of hosting this for Google. And now I take it back because it's actually taking longer to log in than I expected here. But there we go. So, all right. So this is the course overview. And you can kind of see there's a little bit of a navigation pane up here in the top left. You can close that. You can kind of go back out to the beginning. But when you click on the resources, I'll close this and go back, you can kind of favorite it, come right back into the course and click again wherever you want. Because you're signed in, it will save your progress. And I favorited this as soon as I got to it so that I could go back to it, because you can see under your profile here, favorites, and you can always come back to that course. So when you click on course overview, now that I'm signed in, it should go hopefully a little quicker. And so it resumes. So again, you do not need to sit down and do this from start to finish, 3 hours. You don't need to find that kind of time. I know that we're trying to make the best of the situation that we have. You can do this in little pockets and spurts. Take 20, 30 minutes and do a module at a time. But each one will go through the introduction to that module, what you're going to learn in that module, the products that will be covered in that module. In this case, this is the overview. So this is everything that's going to be covered in here. And you can see you got Google Meet, Docs, Drive, Sites, Classroom, Slides, Calendar, Blogger even. That's something that I haven't talked about in any of my sessions. Google Forms and Google Groups as well. And then the skills that you need. And throughout this unit, you'll see that they're going to ask you to do and require different skills. And they'll show you how to do that. There's a video once you've kind of gotten through or gotten to the module. There's a video that you'd watch first, and then there's some kind of walkthrough. And actually, let's jump into one of the modules just so you can kind of preview what it's going to look like. And here's the introduction to distance learning. Let's go into that one. I think I may have already clicked into it. Okay, so here's the distance learning and why distance learning. And it kicked me down to the bottom there, but why distance learning? Here we go. Introduction to distance learning. You're going to click on it, watch the video. When can distance learning be appropriate? That gets into this. Right now, it's our only option, so it's definitely appropriate at this point in time. And then you've got some additional instruction down here, and you got an activity. They want you to jot down your responses in this box. There's a couple different activities you're going to walk through as you read through, and you can kind of open a new tab and work on some of these things and try them live in real time as you go through this if you need to. Just open another tab at the top. And then you kind of continue on down through the tutorial. And then when you get to the bottom or through all of this, some are a little longer than others, but you can see that this is going to kind of walk you through. This one might have been a little bit longer than some of the others. There's your lesson check. So you get down to the bottom and you get to a point where you're at, does a little bit of a quick check, a formative assessment, basically, to see where are you at. And then when you're done with all of this, you mark that module as complete. And again, because you're signed in, this is going to track where you are, what you've completed, so that as you go through this course, you're kind of checking things off as you go. And I'm almost willing to bet if we mark this complete, maybe that little radio button, let's see what happens. Activity completed. Oh, I thought it was going to mark it solid and check it off or something, but it doesn't. But in any event, you can kind of keep track of your progress as you move through this. So again, just an opportunity for teachers to take a 3-hour course, break it up over 30-minute sessions here or there, and get a nice little overview of what is it that distance learning should look like, and maybe it doesn't look exactly like that for you. What could it look like? And here are some of the tools and platforms available to you right in the Google for Education suite that we use every day. Here's some more learning, some additional resources, tutorials and walkthroughs, and little activities that'll help you kind of package this all together. Now, if you want to save this for August, you kind of want to just decompress from everything that just happened over the past couple months, just bookmark this, save it for August. I'm sure it'll still be there. And then as you're starting to get back into the frame of mind and the mindset of, well, school's coming back and here's what it's going to look like, maybe that's when you want to do this. Whenever you choose to, it's up to you. But again, it's a free course. It is offered by Google. It's run by the Google for Education team. And you can get to it from the Teach from Home website that Google has created for this situation. All the way at the bottom, just to reiterate, under Find More Distance Learning Resources, and then it's on their COVID-19 website for support resources under Training. And then again, you got to create your account, log in, and give it your best shot. This is a great way to learn more. And if it's a skill set you already know, just allows you to hone those skills a little bit more and kind of review. This is where I'm at. You could take it now and probably review it again in August if you wanted to do it that way too. I don't see any questions coming in. I want to thank you for joining us today, and I hope you have a chance to check out this free online distance learning for educator course.